You're live. Hey, why not? I'll use these this 1 minute to try the old pop out and stick over there with where my journal's gonna be. Hey, it snapped to the right size. Will you look at that? Wonder if I can do that again. Oh, and now they're bound together. Well, they're bound together after a point. I have never seen that before. Look at that bouncy arrow snap behavior. That's interesting. I like it. I need to understand it so I can predict it and use it. And I'll get that ideal set up because I like to show people what I'm typing since I am using Vim or NeoVim so much. And its user interface can just be minimized and made completely invisible because everything other than OBS I hide in here. Not that there's much there being hidden. So I type all, and that'll load all my journals. Well, journals all in memory, and Journal Plus, my slice and dice system, my VimRC. A couple of other pages off of another website I care about. Weekly report stuff. Bump, and then my one that I like to share. And I already started on, what I'm doing for today's thing. It's both the Moz experience. So my goal is capture the Moz Pro new user experience with a fresh pair of eyes. So I'm a build versus buy. Build so what I'm saying is, in the eternal question of build versus buy, I tend to land on the build side because for some time longer, for some time it's the source of competitive advantage. Let's see. ... until it's not. Then it works against you. Because everyone's standardized on some proprietary, or what was it going to say? Or open. Yeah, it can be either one, or open software that you can't get out of. The AI wants to say that you can't get out of. AI software, that's on everyone's resumes. Yeah, you aren't going to predict that, were you? I even want the plural form, although the spell checker doesn't like that. RESUMES, resumes. Yeah, okay. So Moz should be that for the SEO software category. I work for Moz, and so now it's part of my, goal, mission, objectives, job. No one said it's part of my job. I mean, I guess it's implied, but it's part of my mission. It's okay to have a mission. Is to make sure that's true, right? So a fresh pair of eyes. I was on Moz Free, and I am now on Moz Pro. And I am logged in here. And I'm seeing a slightly different appearance. I think I had clicked through the menus there. But I want to start on the very top one. And yeah, it's showing your onboarding progress is 0 of 11. I've done 0 of 11 of the steps of the onboarding process. So there's create your first SEO campaign. You can start to track a site, or you can X out of it. The next one is take a platform tour. You can take the tour, or you can X out of it. Let me take the tour. Manage your campaigns. Okay, so it's walking you through, it's stepping you through. So even though the navigation gets criticized a fair amount, these locations are used for some pop-up somethings here. And next, competitive research. Know your competition. So you can run campaigns, you can get information about your competitors, and the two things there are called a true competitor and keyword gap. And there's new next to all of these. Okay, next. Keyword research. Time-saving keyword research tool. Keyword Explorer is your go-to keyword research tool in the Moz Pro. In this tool, you can search your target keywords to find valuable and actionable metrics like search volume, difficulty, and organic click-through rate. So if there's some metrics on those keywords, they are available here. This is the location of that often coveted search volume metric, since AdWords Keyword Planner started being greedier about how much estimated search volume was to be expected. They started rounding it to these ridiculous increments, like to the thousands and stuff, and it basically became useless. I think there were exceptions. If you were running an AdWords campaign that had a lot of keywords running throughout there, then you would get a more accurate estimate on keywords that you had flighted in campaigns, because you're paying for them. You know, you get what you pay for. So this keyword volumes in here takes the place of that. Now, difficulty is always an interesting metric because it's a derivative metric. Actually, a few of these are derivative metrics. Click-through ratio is by definition a derivative because it's a ratio between, two things, because it's a ratio. Keyword difficulty is special sauce, secret sauce stuff in there, but it basically tells you that if you were to attempt to target this keyword and displace other people who are positioning for this keyword, how easy or difficult would it be to displace them? If it's Wikipedia up there and Wikipedia alone, it might have a difficulty of like 99, because who are you to displace the Wikipedia page on that topic? But if there's a bunch of sites ahead of you, some of which are not big players, then the difficulty is adjusted accordingly. So it's a valuable metric. And that's two valuable metrics in a row for keywords. That's good to know, keyword research. And you can explore by site, you can explore by keyword, and then there's this last highlighted one with no sub-items. It's called keyword lists, and it's giving a sample. So you can build keyword lists, and this is a sample of one of those, is what I would presume. All right, moving on, explore by site. Gain competitive insights. The ranking keywords section. ranking keywords. The ranking keywords section offers the ability to see what keywords you and your competitors' sites are ranking for. This can help you identify keywords within reach and scope and ideas for content creation and optimization. All right. So that's making sure you know to click this one here. Okay. Explore by keyword. Research keywords that matter. Enter a keyword to research and you'll see an overview that indicates metrics, keyword suggestions, and a sneak peek of the SERP for that keyword. Okay. So you notice how this is walking us through in kind of a wizard way. There's like custom JavaScript and DOM manipulation and making things visible and invisible, and must be some form of tracking where you are in the process, because next, back, and if you X out of it, what if you wanted to take the tour again? Will it start you where you left off? There might be some cookie stuff. I don't know. I'm just observing with a fresh pair of eyes, and it's fairly welcome. As much criticism as this might, receive for having been around longer than almost any tool of its kind, right? Moz, not in its current form, but, the original Moz was something like 2007, and I remember it. Not too distant past for me, because that's about when I moved to New York City, right? That was about the same time as my move to New York. So I check in with my audience. I know you're there, and see if, hey, nobody typed anything. So that always makes me suspicious that, there's no one there. I'm talking to the void. Anyway, what we'll do is they heard me just reading off a menu. I don't have to sit here and listen to him read off a menu. I'm going to be doing an automation of my own. There's a version of a little thing walking you through here. I'm going to make something that pops Moz up, logged in as me, and walks through all of this. In fact, I'll go ahead and do that more interesting thing, because I think this would just bore you silly, and then you'll see me, I guess, walk through and do almost the whole same process, but a different way, a very different way. Check out new resource center. Okay, so there's a question mark here you can press. Oh, look at that little pop-up navigation thing for your anywhere you are screen. I believe that might be a universal navigation element. We'll see as we surf around if that little circle just stays stuck there. So if I change a screen here, that little circle is going to pop up in the same location. So it's a fixed location thing. No matter how things pop around, you've got a little resource center, which is like an alternative navigation for the site. There must be an interesting story there. And there's videos to watch. We get to watch Roger the robot. But what I want to show you, the thing of interest, the thing I should have got to earlier before everyone started dropping like flies. You're giving me a chance there, almost two of you. I want to do some browser automation. So let's get to that browser automation, is I guess what I'm saying. Screen one is already kind of tied up with this. But we want to say, let's do some browser stuff. All right, you want to do some cool browser stuff? We go over to an available screen. It's usually 4. I like to know my fixed locations. And here we can just open a one of them local shells, right? Just like on the first screen, but it doesn't have the journal loaded in. It's not running NeoVim. So one of the commands we can issue here would be, what am I trying to do again? Oh yeah, browser stuff. I want to show you that we can run Google Chrome. I think that's Google Chrome. Now, we were in Edge a moment ago, and it was logged in as me in Edge, and I do want you to notice that this logo here is the same. So even though it's Chrome, am I giving anything away? No, I don't think so. Yeah, so I run automations sometimes as these other email accounts, right? So this, amazingly, okay, this is the hard part to wrap your mind around. Even though this is Linux, the Linux version of Chrome coming up from a Linux command line using Linux graphics, but on a Windows system, it's sharing my user profile across the operating systems. So any passwords I update and validate Windows side, I believe, get picked up and echoed and are known here Linux side as well. So it's easy to maintain logins. Now, not only is it easy to maintain logins, you can do stuff that you can't do in other contexts. So I'll just close out of that. The fact that Chrome can pop up like that is way cool. So I'm switching over to the Moz directory. However, the other directory that I will probably want to have loaded a lot is practice. Moz is going to take the place of the practice directory because the practice directory got too loaded full of stuff too fast, got too confusing, and now I want to start over. So I start over with a Moz directory. However, I got me some cool assets sitting here in practice and practice_safe because I ended up having to split it into two. Dealing with that problem the first time, I'm like, oh, I just make two practice directories. One that I'm always messing around with that is okay to, make new files. And then one which I try and keep pristine and a recommended order in which you do things. I was experimenting with a numbering. But neither of them worked out. Neither my practice or my practice_safe directory worked out. So I just have a bunch of good files spread over those two locations. And I'm going to consolidate the best of each of them and wrap them back into the Moz directory and make that the new master location and just cherry pick. So this is part of that cherry picking. There's a file I have in mind that I want to bring in because of something I was about to do. Browser automation, of course. Browser automation. And there's a lot of browser automation approaches out there, and we're going to choose one of them from here. But since we're starting from scratch, we might as well choose that little piece of code that keeps all our code clean all the time. And now that I have that loaded in memory, it's good to go back into here so that when I make a new notebook, that new notebook is going to be here in the Moz folder. And here we are going to rename this into, I guess I'll call it browser automation. I'll be consistent. In fact, I am going to say Chrome automation because browser automation is too open-ended for what I have in mind, because at the moment I am only installing Chrome for Microsoft Playwright, which is going to be the browser automation framework, client packages that we're going to be using. So we go here and I pick up all those things that are going to work for the Chrome version of this, which is not that first one, but all these variables and globals are still what I need. So I'll go from that browser automation to this Chrome automation. Paste that in. Oh, I forgot to paste the black uncompromising code formatting line. When you run this, it just means that all your code is going to be like adjusted slightly for the way everyone in Python has agreed upon it should be done, with very stringent criteria. There's an I missing there. And I'm looking for the one that's referring to Chrome. Chrome, see, look, Chromium, nope, that's probably not it. Firefox, There's Chrome. This is the one we want. Oh, and it already had all of its own configuration variables too. So we'll just take it down to there, and we'll paste that over here, because the new stuff I'm doing right now is Chrome only. I'm doing Linux version of Chrome. I'll get to other stuff, and this can be adapted to other stuff too. All this is just so friggin' flexible. But now when I play this, it should pop up the Linux version of Chrome. Logged in as me. I'm not sure if it's going to do anything, but it might just close. Yeah, I didn't do anything. I just opened that address. I could open anything. I could have performed a search. I could have downloaded stuff. So some of the advantages here are that there's a real download context, so that you can put files places after a download. It's a real persistent mode. One of the problems in these browser automations frequently is that it is put in a kind of a sandboxed, really good for testing, but really poor for search engine optimization automations and API wrapping things that don't have APIs. It needs to know it's you. So this is a very magic line right here, where the user data dir is set to user data, which is set up here as a very conventional path for where Google Chrome puts stuff. And you may notice a path like this anytime you have something off of home. This is home. You might not know it, but when you see ~/ it's referring to this location. Whenever there's anything relative to this location, especially these dot hidden locations, there's a very good chance it's symlinked in from both the Windows side and the Linux side, or more specifically, it's symlinked from the Linux side to the Windows side. So this could be the very same Chrome profile location that the Windows side Chrome is using. I actually don't think it is, but it does mean it survives your Linux reinstall. So when you reinstall Linux, you just have to log in once. In fact, you don't even have to log in under the automation system. You do exactly like I showed you here before. You go over here, you deal with login here, and it's just like a normal browser. So it's going to do that pop-up. You'll go through two-factor authentication or whatever it is. But it gets you logged in, and then it holds that login for a while. You can keep this active by remaining active. This login can persist for a very long time, and you can use browser features like remembering passwords, and it's secure because it's not a web technology. This is on your local machine. No one's getting at these locations, right? It's just like working on your laptop. So you can authenticate a local Linux Chrome browser with all your stuff. You can keep multiple accounts and switch between them, right? And after you've set that up, so you just close out of that, if it lets me. The user interface is a bit clunky. That resolution stuff is a little weird, and that same login is now this under this context here that you were just using. So if you were to fill in that with a search, and then submit the search, and all these things that have page.goto and stuff, these are commands that can be done remote control to remote control the browser, and there's lots of playback and recording tools to help you do that. So once again, this is the most primitive Linux browser, Linux Chrome automation under Windows. That's amazing, right? So if there was OAuth issues, you could have done it there. I have a favorite trick. I'll do it here. Let's see, import OHAWF, OAuth. This is a library that I wrote. It's pip installable, so you pip install OAuth, okay? And everyone, when they're doing Python API stuff, comes the day you have to automate against the Google one of the Google APIs, one of the many Google APIs, from Google Sheets to what's another popular one? That's by far the most popular. People love to work against Google Sheets, but almost anything that requires login from Google, requires OAuth 2. And it starts off this whole long process on how to get OAuth 2 permission, or permission some other way, which might be through a service account. Google service accounts is one way to do it. And let me just make sure with the streaming that my audio is running. Yep. Oh, desktop audio was off, but that doesn't matter. My audio has been running. Yes. All right. I am satisfied with the streaming, even though there's none of you out there. Sometimes you peek in, but this will be available later. And so that's what I want to do. I want to do the recording, but I do want to show you to finish off the OAuth. You go creds equals OAuth.get, and it'll have a default set of scopes it asks for, but there's a whole creds equals. Oh, creds, it's not an equal sign. It helps if I put an actual equal sign. And it's logging in. It's doing an OAuth 2 login. I can choose which user I want to log in as, right? And I'm not really going to do it here because I don't want to type a password in front of you, but you get the idea. Oh, I don't have to. I might. Oh, this is an account. Okay, verify it's me. That's with that account. If I got a verification code. I did not. More ways to verify. Yeah, I do want that verification code sent. Ah, there we go. I get to show you the whole way. So you do have to do continue, right? And then here's all the default authentications. I make it a very powerful login, but you remember, it's all on your own machine. This is 3-leg OAuth 2 authentication. This is giving a lot of access to a lot of services to you on your machine. There's no one else involved here in the picture. There's no server out there while you do this. So you hit allow, and it's going to give you, and it says it's done. You don't even have to copy the stuff around. This was an amazing part of this this journey and this discovery. So now it's successfully logged in as that particular user, and I can integrate against any of those services. So that's kind of a big deal. I did that. That's one of my pip installable packages, and almost nobody uses it, as useful as it is, because nobody understands it. So it puts this pickled credentials here, and it'll just keep reusing that. This is not intended to be used for web development in general, because I'm just plopping a credentials file from wherever the Python notebook was run, and then it keeps using that to keep getting the authentication, so you don't have to worry about that process you just did again. That changes once every 6 months maybe, right? So yeah, so let's do some real browser stuff, some real recording and playing back of stuff. And so it should be identical between the Windows side of Chrome and the Windows Chrome side and the Linux Chrome side. They should be identical in both cases. But in either case, I probably have one more Moz login coming up on whichever side probably 2 more Moz logins. I'm going to have to log into Moz here on Chrome. And Windows side Chrome, that is. And I'll log into Moz on Linux side Chrome as well. And that way I won't have to deal with those logins even under automation. And then this is where I'll do browser recording because it's built in now. It's just part of the inspector. Not a lot of people know that. But if you go into developer tools, Control-Shift-I, somewhere in here now is recorder right there. So you can create a new recording, record a bunch of stuff, and those things that it recorded, I believe, are Puppeteer commands, which are compatible with Microsoft Streamlight. You might even be able to switch between those two things. So create new recording. That you allow what types of paths it can record. It gives it an automatic name based on a date stamp. And I believe now you can just go to, say, www.google.com. Oh, I have the Moz bar running. That's interesting. But I should be able to go over here, and is that recording it? Oh, start recording. I have to start recording. Well, let me get rid of the Moz bar for now. And just disable it temporarily. I don't see disable. I guess I remove and put it back for automation purposes right now. Do a refresh there. They're gone. Now I start a recording. www.moz.com. And we look over here. And there's stuff getting recorded. Now, it might not seem like a lot that I've recorded, but that's enough for me to look in here and see stuff about it. So there's a performance panel, there's replay, slow, very slow, different speeds on the replay. What I'm interested in is saving it. Import recording, export as a JSON script. Oh, export as Puppeteer. And two options is for Puppeteer, and @Puppeteer replay script and export a Puppeteer script. I would probably choose that last one, I would imagine. And I'll put that. I'm on PC side here, but I'm going to want to look at that Linux side. So I can just put it in my home directory. That'll be accessible. And this is called recording.js, something JS. All right, fine. This type of file can be dangerous. Only save the file if you trust it. So I trust it. Save it. I know what I'm doing. All right, I got a little piece of recording that I can go take a look at. All right, this looks very Puppeteerish. Probably work with that. Although it's JavaScript Puppeteer. Ugh. Although it probably gives us a lot of the paths and stuff that we need for clicking on stuff. Wait for selections and stuff like that. And there's probably going to be other ways. If I don't like this method of recording natively with Chrome, there's other ways of recording. There's ways of recording Linux side with that same exact context, and so I might actually end up doing that. I think it's called Inspector. I forget exactly. It's a Microsoft Playwright Inspector. I would probably search my notebook for it. But this was interesting. What Chrome itself can natively save includes JavaScript Puppeteer. Of course, it wouldn't be Python Puppeteer, because there's no such thing. There's Puppeteer, but that's third party and not official. But Microsoft Playwright supports native Python API to the browser controls, although you're oftentimes, using Python to do very JavaScript-ish things. So, where does that leave us? Where it leaves us is I haven't nearly gone through the Moz product point by point, automating against it like I had planned, but I got a good way there, and let me at least open Moz from the automation instead of opening Google. That'll be like at least a good first step. There it is. Another way to log in, right? This is not going to stay open long. It's not logged in. It has the login prompt. But one way to do it, and I'll start the process here, and then I'll probably stop the streaming and, recalibrate and maybe come back later tonight. But because this automatically closes it, there was the close, we can just look at that delay time period, and that delay is set to 5 seconds. All I have to do is set that to say 500 seconds. I run this now, and it's not going to close that browser window for a good long time. And logins can often be made persistent because of browser features and stuff. So, I can start the process here, but I don't want to mistakenly ruin a video. There I go, revealing a bunch of emails. So, in for a penny, in for a pound, let me try one of these. And none of them are correct. I even got coworkers and old employers in there. I really got to clear stuff out of my email histories. Yeah, shared logins. It's a dirty secret of the industry sometimes. More than one person uses the same login. So now that I've spilled the beans on that industry secret, I will, wrap the video up here, knowing that when we come back, I will have taken care of this logging context, and I'll actually start going through something similar to that tour where I click through everything through automation to make sure I understand everything in the product by automating against it. Thanks for joining me. Oh, let me see if you're there. If anyone's there and talking, I'll totally take questions or whatever. I'll restore the chat window over here. Yep, no one said a word and people are just poking in and out. So that's the end for this video and maybe for tonight. I guess we'll see. Later, Gators.